Hello chess family, it's me National Master Jesse James. It's time for another instructive miniature. And this one we're going to be seeing the kid, King's Indian defense. Actually, it's more considered King's Indian attack when you play it with white. But the kid versus the French here. So let's go ahead and see how it goes. We have Dvoretsky versus Dansky. Here we go. E4, E6, D3, a popular way after Bobby Fischer was playing it in the 1970s and 60s to play against this French defense. Pawn to d5, knight to d2, pawn to c5, knight to f3, knight c6, g3, knight f6, bishop g2, bishop e7, and here we go, castles and castles. And this is a very fun line. Like I said, Bobby Fischer was using this early in his career to attack against this. And as you guys know, well, hopefully you do know, Bobby Fischer was playing King's Indian defense as black, so against d4 he played the exact same setup. And here he came up with some beautiful attacking games. And so, well, what's the idea? Well, white's going to be attacking queen side over here, and black is pretty much hoping to open up on the queen side over here as soon as possible, and maybe even in the center here to stop the attack. Let's see how it goes. Rook e1 gets played. A very important square is going to be this e5 square because, well, h7 is typically the weak square that we want to attack. This knight is one of its best defenders. So if you can get e5 in, this will definitely help out your game. Pawn to b6 gets played, and here, well, we get e5 in. Knight to d7, and now knight to f1. A typical Steinitz knight's kind of maneuver over here. You're asking yourself, wait, where's the knight going to? Here, most likely, they're going to be pushing the h-pawn over here so that you can gain squares over here. And this h-pawn not only gives a square for the knight to go to, but it's gaining space over here too. Bishop to b7, pawn to h4, queen to c7, and bishop to f4, really just getting all the pieces here. You can see they're just piling up over here on the king side. The computer recommends, and whenever I do, I like to play this myself, over here, instead of playing the pawn to b6, you might just try throwing the pawn to b5 right away. Over here, after this rook e1, maybe just play the pawn to b5 right away here. This is a little bit more aggressive way to try and attack on the queen side. Going back to the game, after knight f1, bishop to b7, pawn to h4, queen c7, putting another piece to attack on e5, bishop to f4. And this bishop f4 is a very good move because not only does it try to defend this pawn, but also has tactical ideas in it too. Here, black plays pawn to b5 finally over here, trying to push forward. And again, black needs to do something soon because if white just is able to continue with the attack, it's going to be game over very soon. And here, white played knight to h2 here, but I do want to point out some fun tactical ideas. Here you can actually play the knight to e3 here. And, well, it looks like you don't have enough defenders, but taking this pawn would be a very bad idea. After knight d takes over here, you simply just take, and now you get to play the pawn to d4 here, or maybe knight to g4 here. The idea is just putting pressure on the knight. Here, white already has a +1 position here, and this pin's not going anywhere. With that being said, the other tactical idea is, well, most people here would not want to grab this pawn on e5, so they'll go ahead and play something like pawn to c4, and now you have some nice tactical ideas like knight takes d5 here, with the pawn taking pawn e6 for a nice discovery. And here white is just has a, again, a +1 advantage. Anyways, going back to the game, here white chose a different route. The knight goes to h2, pawn to d4, and white is very happy to see this because now they have this vacant e4 square. So a lot of times the knight will find its way to this e4 square. With that being said, what did black get out of this? Well, black does grab a little bit more space in the center, and maybe even black will get his knight to d5 over here. All right, knight g5 gets played. Here you can see the h7 points already becoming a target. And here, pawn to h6. Looks like it's going to be kicking this knight away. And, well, after that, where does the knight go to? Well, here, fun enough, this is the start of some fireworks. The queen jumps to h5 here. And, well, now the computer's giving this a +2.7 or +3 position here. And you're asking yourself, why can't we just take? Well, here taking gives white a beautiful dark square bind over here on the king side. And it's really hard to not take here. In fact, computer's saying take, even though they're just in a worse position. And, well, here we go. Pawn takes, h takes. Of course, we don't want to take back with our bishop over here, as the bishop is still doing a good job over here. And black goes ahead and plays rook f to b8. The idea very simple. I want to just run my king away and get away from this attack. I am up an extra piece here. But here, this does not happen. Knight to g4 gets played. Knight to f8, and now, well, it's white to move. Can you find the best move here to crash through this position? I do recommend you push pause. Hopefully you do. All right, let's get to it. What was the move here? Here you have the beautiful move of knight to f6 check. Oh my gosh, look at that. Of course, you know, you just want to take back with the pawn, but after pawn takes, and if you try to move this bishop away somewhere, I don't know, let's say to d8, now it's just forced checkmate on g7 with the queen coming to h6. And yeah, you have all these pieces over here, but you know, we've actually sacrificed 2 pieces and for white, but yeah, no, this is just not going anywhere. There's no way to stop this checkmate. So in the game, black tried his hand and played bishop takes on f6. It doesn't matter. Here we go, a nice tempo. E takes on f6. So now we've really opened up the king side, and then we get a free tempo because we're attacking the queen. And here e5 got played. A nice move here, bishop d5 exclam. And the rook went to e8. Wait a second. Why can't we just take on f4 here? After pawn takes, here we have another beautiful idea. Pawn takes on g7. Now we're threatening checkmate over here. And you have to be very careful because with this bishop right here, it was threatening lots of things. Okay, so if king takes g7, what do you play? And you just would go queen h6 check, king g8, and g6, the pin. And this is one of the biggest reasons why we're going to be winning this position is just this pin is coming every time. You have bishop takes f7, even g takes on f7 over here. And even in other variations, if you're trying to be you know, tricky, you'll get into the same thing. Here, after pawn takes, again we see this beautiful idea. Oh, I'm sorry. After pawn takes here, there's f takes g7. Let's say so we looked at the king takes variation. What about knight to h7? Again, the pin is going to win it for us. g6 threatening queen takes h7, and pawn takes on f7 over here. Is there any other good moves to look at? I mean, you might think maybe knight g6, but again, the pin is a win. Queen takes on g6 over here. That's why black went ahead and played rook to e8. Trying to stop this idea. But I guess you can pretty much guess the move that was played here by white. What does white play here? Hopefully this isn't too hard for you. Here g6 gets played again, and this taking on f7 is going to be a game ender. The knight needs to stay defending. It can't go to like e7 or anything because queen h7 is checkmate over here. How many times do you get these kind of beautiful positions? Well, black went ahead and tried knight d8, trying to block everything. G takes on f7 check, knight takes on f7, and now we just have a forced checkmate in 4 moves. I will challenge you to see, can you find the forced checkmate in 4 here? Go ahead and push pause. Alright, hopefully you're trying to figure this out. This one was not too hard. Here, this one's all about the dark squares, and just remembering that this is pinned. If you realize that, then this checkmate should not be too hard. Simple idea, we want the queen to get to g7. So what do you play? Queen g5. Here it threatens checkmate on g7. There's no time to take on d5 because checkmate will happen. There's no time to take. We are in a pin here. So g6 can get played. Queen h6, same idea. You're still in a pin here. Knight to e6. And of course, simple chess. Let's just remove the defender. Bishop takes on e6. And there's no good way to stop the checkmate on g7 here. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. This was a beautiful game of the King's Indian attack versus the French defense. We'll see you in the next game.